I'm here with Jim Root of Three Man Weave. Also has had his work featured on the Field of 68, the Action Network as well. Thanks for coming on. I want to talk a little Providence hoops. Cooley has hit the portal again. Obviously, very successful last year. Won their first Big East title. What do you see as their ceiling coming into this season? I personally feel like they have a very high ceiling, picked kind of 5 or 6 in the Big East.
Yeah, it's a wide range of outcomes, and that comes with having so much roster uncertainty and roster turnover. They were one of the most experienced teams in the country last year, and it showed the way they were able to close down games late. But this time around, it's not quite as experienced. You do have the veteran at point guard in Bynum, but then Devin Carter, Bryce Hopkins. We don't know what we're going to get from those guys, but that kind of invites a high ceiling. There is pretty solid pedigree on both of those guys, Hopkins especially. So I'm kind of intrigued by what Providence can be. We just have to kind of wait and see and see what those guys do once they're given big roles.
Yeah. And, obviously starting with the transfers, Hopkins, Locke as well, Carter. Is there one of those three you think does have the highest upside for this team this year?
It's Hopkins for me. I've been
Yeah.
kind of beating the drum for him for a while. I just thought he was more talented than what he was able to show at Kentucky. I know they were pretty deep in the front court. Obviously, Oscar was not going to leave the floor very often, and they had a couple other pieces to work with. But he's such a talented scorer, and he fits kind of the role that has been successful under Cooley. The little bit of Ben Bentil, Dante Henton, like going back to the guys that have been really solid in that 4-man face-up versatile role. I think he can fill that. Just got to see first, but yeah, I've talked about him as like a potential breakout into an all-conference guy in a couple plays. I really think that ceiling is there for him.
Definitely. And I think too, their non-conference lends themselves to kind of getting accustomed to playing with one another. It's not too difficult. They do have some games. I know Mohegan Sun, that tournament, I believe it's Miami could possibly play St. Louis as well. But in terms of just Cooley and what he has done, I don't know if you'd agree with this statement in regards to Providence, especially if they excel this year, that Providence is becoming one of the top places in the country for transfers to come in because they have been successful. They have shown that. If they do it again this year, would you agree that Cooley and Providence have built a system where transfers, high profile transfers, say that's a top place to go?
Yeah, I don't know what their NIL situation is, and maybe that's obviously biggest for the top of the
Yeah,
barrel.
they
Those
have
guys that are
started a
going to
collective. They've started a
okay,
collective.
so that's rather huge. But
Yeah.
just from an on-court perspective, he can say like, "Look what I did for Al Durham. This guy was a solid piece in Indiana. Then he came here, won a title, and was a key part of it. And he's going to keep being able to recycle that, give big roles to guys that haven't been there before." And they've succeeded. Providence, I had a weird obsession with Providence way back in my life, like Tim Welsh, Ryan Gomes era,
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
was really into Providence, and they just never got all the way there. And last year they win a regular season title. So that ceiling is within their capabilities, and you can pitch that to people. And Cooley is an easy guy to get along with, very gregarious. So I think that's going to help him too, his personality in the portal, and then just the success that they've had both on the court and with transfers in the past.
Absolutely. And, last question, more Big East in general. Obviously Creighton favorite there. Then, it's Villanova, Xavier, UConn in the mix. Is there a team outside of the top four, not including Providence, that you think has a shot to maybe finish in the top four? I don't know if it's, St. John's or what you see, within the Big East.
I really like Butler this year, but they need to be healthy. And right now they're already not. They're kind of without two of their top seven. Jalen Thomas had a pulmonary embolism, and then Ali, I think, needs like a facial surgery, the transfer from Akron. But I'm a big Thad Matta guy. I love what they did with Manny Bates coming in, just an elite shot rim protector, shot blocker. They haven't had that in like a decade at Butler. Just not a guy that takes away the rim. So add that to Eric Hunter, who's a big winner coming over from Purdue. I think Butler has a sneaky high upside, a team that I'm really looking at. If they can get healthy, I'm going to keep an eye on the transfers there and their injury report.